Welcome back, one and all, to Dreamworks Dungeons and Dragons. I am your Dungeon Master, August Schmid, and with me, as always, are the wonderful members of our party. We have Elle as Adora, we have Adrian as Minarith, we have Megan as Valka, we have Tice as Shen, and we have Rebecca as Jinji. It's a pleasure to see you all and hear you all again.
Yay! Sorry, I'm not much for words. I'm eating din while I'm muted, so.
You're good. Last we saw our party traveling northward, out and up from the dark forest. As you traveled, you were ambushed by some dryads and owls, but thankfully, due to the nat 20 of Adora being able to spot the ambush and the rest of the party making quick and deliberate, decisive actions, you were able to successfully avoid and deter what could have been a very dangerous situation. But due to a storm, you had to wait just a little bit more than a day to wait out the blizzard through the Blackwood. As you made it through, though, out into the northern regions, you found yourselves close to the city of Ilvanor. Ilvanor being a high northern city where people have settled and made lives. But of course, your destination was out towards the Temple of Odin. Now, the Temple of Odin being a grand statue with Aesir statues of the other gods lining the path to the temple, where a few of you stopped looking at these, and Shen, you noticed an old woman with ash makeup that led you all to the side of the temple. After each of you were rather uncooperatively taken a piece of you, and Minarith using a sacred flame, the wall opened up, leading down into this ancient stonework temple, where at the very bottom a cool turquoise water glistened in a round pond. Now, Minarith, you put one of your tarot cards, or you put your tarot cards near the pool of water, and it was sucked in, and you received a bit of an answer to a question you were looking for. All of you taking a moment to think about maybe what you could want, what you could do. Minarith, you had just begun to put the edge of a dagger blade against your skin, and as the water drops in, Adora, you very quickly, but still painfully, plucked your right eye. And as both fall into the water, this is where we are going to start. What I would ask first is, Minarith and Adora, as your respective sacrifices enter into the pool, I would like both of you to make me wisdom saving throws.
I shall do so once my app updates.
No. No.
Minarith,
Oh,
that's
no.
a natural 1. Shen, Jinji, and Valka, as you watch, all of you are close enough to the pool looking in and can see, of course, Minarith has just touched the blade and water and blood have suddenly connected when ice swirls around the pool. You watch as frost grows against the edge, slowly runs up, and Minarith is suddenly encased in ice. Minarith, you do not feel this ice and cold, but rather your vision grows dark, and you feel something calling out to you, but you do not hear its name. Adora, on your wisdom save, you, for half a moment, see the ice suddenly grasp around Minarith's leg, racing up, encasing her as a statue of ice. But before you can do much, you realize that your body has left the ground, as for the rest of the party, Large vines have suddenly sprouted down out of these tree branch looking stalactites on the ceiling and have wrapped up Adora. And Adora, your vision completely fades to black as well.
But I got a 21. Guys.
I will say 21 is rather good, and a natural one, Minarith, it will be rather interesting.
I don't think I like interesting.
It will be interesting. Valka, Shen, and Jinji, as this happens, Adora is suddenly suspended in the air, encased in root. Minarith is encased in ice. Would any of you like to do anything, try anything in this moment?
I have one idea, but it could be stupid.
Yeah, what's your idea?
So, Minarith is like fully frozen ice statue, right?
Yeah.
Could I do my like draconic transformation and like breathe some fire in a safe way, or like does that make sense to like thaw her without also then damaging her worse?
I like it. Go ahead. You can make this either an attack against fire, or you can do, we're going to call it a survival check. I'll let you choose which one you'd rather do it. As survival would be more, can I safely get Minarith free, versus an attack is, can I just break the ice in general?
What would I be adding in case of an attack? Because it's not like any of my weapons, it's the like breath stuff that the dragon transformation gives me. And
it would be a dexterity in your proficiency in this moment, I would say.
Okay. I think that would work out to be about the same. So I will roll the survival check to make it easy. If that makes sense, like it would be the same stat. So I'll just go with survival. Do I get advantage because it's a draconic thing and I get some survival check advantages?
This will be a flat roll.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's a 5.
5. Valka, you quickly ignite some of this fire, breathing out and around Minarith. The fire dies away and the ice remains.
Well, that's not encouraging.
Yeah, not really.
Thanks for trying, by the way. Yeah, of course.
We will start then with Minarith. Minarith, on a natural 1, your vision grows dark. And after a few moments, you see what you could assume to be a large statue in front of you. But I will say the statue seems rather formless, if this makes sense. It looks maybe humanoid enough, but you can't see if it has any specific gender or sex or other physical defining features.
That makes sense.
As the statue is before you, I will give you what you think is a choice. You could ask a question right now, or you could try to figure out what's going on.
Like what's going on in whatever vision I'm experiencing, or?
Yes, you can either figure out more about the vision you're experiencing or a different question if you wanted to ask.
This is horrible, but I kind of forgot the question that I was so desperate to ask last week because apparently I've got issues. So I think I would want to figure out what's going on in the vision.
I think that's totally fine. Go ahead, make me a insight check if you'd be so kind. And after insight check, please make me a perception.
It is not my night. Okay, perception. Wow. Can I? The highest roll out of 3 rolls tonight is a 4. Okay, well.
That is rather unfortunate. Minarith, as you look around you, you have a feeling that this vision may indeed be related to your sacrifice, but you think something is going rather wrong, as this isn't like before where you felt prompted to ask a question and you received an answer, nor is this like a test of some kind. You think you have found yourself in a bit of a limbo area to the best of your knowledge. Now, while I say a limbo area, on your perception, you look out and realize you are not in a shapeless void, though the statue in front of you seems rather shapeless. The ground around you seems to be rather full of rock and maybe a bit of dust, that almost as if you were in some sort of desert or barren land.
I think at this point, I really don't have a whole heck of a lot of choices for what to do. So the only thing I can think of, because I don't really know what to do with the desert landscape, is maybe to try casting Alter Self. I know that it's supposed to be for self, but I don't know. I'm hoping that either the statue is supposed to somehow be a representation of me, and if I do this, then maybe I can sharpen the image or of the statue or something. I want to somehow direct it towards the statue and see if anything happens. Does that make sense?
Yeah. If you're casting Alter Self, what personage would you like the self to be?
Probably the smartest person I know, and that's Osrantis.
You cast Alter Self at the statue, and you watch as Ostrientis appears. Curling white and gray hair, eyes that seem to sparkle that deep blue, very ebony black skin as crinkles around her eyes and hands from just sheer age and wisdom. The statue does not seem like a statue anymore. In fact, you would think that this is indeed Ostrientis standing before you, as no longer picturesque, the being in front of you that looks like Ostrientis has stepped off of whatever little area and is simply looking at you.
Okay, this feels like progress. Next, I would probably ask this personage, what did I do wrong?
You see that the being that looks like Ostrientis looks at you, kind of looks around, and will speak, and you realize the voice will be Ostrientis' voice, but very quickly the cadence and tone is not hers. You see that the being looks around and says, "You have offered up a sacrifice of that which was freely given to you."
So, because I gave something that was a gift to me, That wasn't enough.
You see that she kind of stops. There is no enough. Merely that to gain true knowledge, one must sacrifice what you have. But what you have is a gift. You still will gain knowledge, but not the knowledge you seek.
Okay. Would that be the knowledge I need?
You see that the Osrientis looks at you, kind of blinks. The knowledge which will be given is that your gift is something of importance. That it is a gift we will not take because it is not yours to give.
I'm just going to kind of bow my head a little bit towards this figure. I understand. Thank you for your patience. And I will not make such a mistake again.
The figure looks at you. Mistakes cannot be made when you do not know what you do. Transgression is different than mistake. Know this, Minarith, daughter of the moon, that your role to play will be of great importance, but that you cannot make a mistake until you have knowledge. And as that last word, knowledge, kind of rings, you feel suddenly ice all over your body, and Minarith, you wake up entombed in ice.
Okay. That does answer some questions I had. That's pretty cool. I think I'm just going to try. I'm going to cast Firebolt to try and get out of this ice, I think.
Now that you are awake, you cast Firebolt, and Valka, you watch. The fire that you have cast is immediately fading, and suddenly there is a bright warmth at the points of Minarith's fingers as ice shatters and hisses as Minarith emerges, not even a second after the ice had truly formed around her. We are going to now cut to Adora. Adora,
Yep.
You feel the darkness encroach upon you, and after a moment find yourself in a beautiful wooded area. Not quite unlike the Black Forest, which you have been to before, of course, traveling through. But this woods feels similar enough to say with pine tree. There is simple area, but what is most strikingly different about this kind of wooded area is in front of you there is the same pool of water where you just lost your eye. As you bring up, I would say, Adora, you immediately can feel your eye is gone, but you are not bleeding, nor is there any injury. As you feel, it's almost as if your eye never had existed, and that you feel just a space in your head that is hollow.
Okay. And with that, she's gonna walk up to the similar pool of water and look in.
You walk up to the pool of water and see reflected in it yourself. Within a second, though, you see another figure appear standing just over your right shoulder. The figure, though, seems to be someone completely different than yourself or anyone you know. But what I would say, Adora, is you don't just see the figure in the water, you feel that someone has physically walked up behind you.
Oh. Adora is going to kind of gently look away from the water and then look up at the person who just joined.
The figure that has joined as you turn can now clearly see that this is an elderly man. Long white beard that stretches down almost to his navel. Wisps of hair atop his head like clouds. Very much balding in the sense that there's not a lot of hair upon his head, but his face has that wizened pointed nose that you would expect to see from an elder or ancient being. He walks in a simple tunic with a cloak upon him, but you can see that where his irises should be, his eyes swirl with a poolish, glowing turquoise, just like the water.
Okay. Can I make either an insight or religion check to figure out who this person is, or do I just have no clue at all in the world?
You for sure can make me a religion check.
All right. All right. It is rolled. Baba Booey.
That's a natural 20. Adora,
Lord.
you saw this figure while you were passing through the statues. There were many of the Aesir statues, this like higher sect of gods that the Nordic people here believe in. But this one, you were able to actually kind of make out enough that there was some people who had written in common at the base of the statue that this is Mimir.
What is he the god of?
Mimir is the god. Excuse me, sorry. I'm so sorry. I just had a bit of cough. Mimir is believed to be more of a god of water and a water spirit. Specifically, as legend goes, Mimir was beheaded during the Aesir-Vanir War, and apparently Mimir holds all the secret knowledge and counsel, as well as on that Nat 20, you know that this must then be Mimir's well. The well wherein his kind of power resided, where Odin plucked out his own eye to see the secrets of the cosmos and universe. And so he's best known for his knowledge and wisdom, is what you would know.
Okay. I kneel. And I go, Near, I have only found out of you recently. It is a pleasure to meet you.
You see,
But,
Mimir kind of stops you before you get too far with that. Just, no, please. Pick yourself up, child. I am no one to bow to.
all right. So, it's okay that I just like put my eye in your fountain, right?
I would assume so. Do you not want wisdom?
I do. I just didn't know if I don't know. I don't know the protocols and whatever, but yeah, no, I'd like some help if you got it.
Well, who am I to say no to someone who sacrificed an eye, am I right? You see, as he laughs, you notice his head kind of wobbles on his shoulders, almost like it's not fully attached.
Uh-huh. I'm making a mental note of that. And I go, Munir, how, do I have one question? Is it like I can only ask so much?
You see, he kind of looks at you and says, well, Let me put it this way. Are you a god?
No.
Uh,
And kind of goes with an up inflection as she thinks about Shiro, but it's not really a god. It was more of a super weapon, but like.
well, you see, he kind of like half smiles, that very almost like roguish smile. Well, then it means you won't be able to take knowledge forever. You are here now. You have sacrificed, and so I will give you the knowledge you want. But eventually, you must return. So, it's what you can take now.
Okay. All right. Vinny, how do I fix this? And she kind of like gestures like to the, like around her, but then really she's, in a different place. The world, I mean, because I know I'm not, like the princess of power of this world, but I need guidance on what to do.
Now, guidance is not the same thing as wisdom there, Adora. You must know that. If you want guidance, be a robot. Be a servant. Be a magical construct that can take orders. You don't give up your eyeball to get guidance. And you see, Mimir, he's not like that jovial, happy kind of old man. He does have a lot of that bite to him. He seems to have a little bit of that, what we would know as the veneer fire, right? He's just the god of like, I'm wisdom. But he's not mad at you. It's more just that like he seems to be pointing this out.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm working on understanding that because I've really just been a following orders robot for a while. Not an actual robot, but metaphorically. That's besides the point. Veneer, how do I fix the world? How do I connect back to Shira?
Oh, those are two very different questions. Which one do we start with?
I'd say the world first.
All right, well, I can't give you a set answer on that because it's not a great question, but I'll try my best. You see Mimir kind of stops, raises his hand as he slowly puts just his middle finger into the pool of water. Everything kind of bubbles and reflects, and suddenly you see the planet sitting amongst the stars out in the cosmos, and you will just hear Mimir's voice. Long ago, the world of Dramor was formed by the four higher powers. As you see these four giant shadows kind of like emerge out of the stars, very formless and shapeless. But you see that Mimir continues, the higher powers, each of their own right and regard, created this world so that they might create intelligence, life, order. But, and you see, at this point, you kind of zoom in on the world and you watch kingdoms begin building and growing and then falling in destruction like a time lapse as you watch everything kind of build and then grow and then slowly destroy. The gods were ambitious. They strove to put all in, everything they could, races and beings, powers and magic, far beyond what mortals can accomplish, and thus chaos was born into the world. And as this goes through, you see kingdoms and armies begin appearing, war and ages of wars between mankind, elvenkind, old races that no longer even exist anymore simply due to them being destroyed or hunted. Mimir continues, the great gods did not see yet that chaos would ruin their world. Some chose to embrace the chaos, others chose to fight back. But their discordance and the gods' unwillingness to admit that the world must change has drawn what we see today. And Adora, suddenly you kind of see it is today. You see the temple outside you, but everything seems to You see the other kingdoms. In fact, you zoom out of the planet. You see the conflicts that rage in the stars. You see tyrannical leaders and corrupt persons of all persons and races, not just on this planet, but across galaxies and planes. And it finally zooms back in as you hear Mimir say, "And so, as you have been told, chosen one, you were chosen by these gods. In fact," and you see suddenly before you dozens of forms, too quick to catch faces, but you immediately are able to pick out a small little cookie person off to one side. Farther back, an Aarakocra with large wings. Suddenly, a figure seeming in armor, Minarith. And as you just barely start to get the images of your party, as well as these dozens of shadowy other beings, it suddenly blacks. And Mimir says, "The great gods above decided that there would be chosen ones. Even I," and he kind of like stops in his words, and you don't see his face, but you see that almost humility encroach on his vocal cord. "I am not entirely sure what is to happen with you, chosen. But it is clear that there must be a balance brought. Either," and you see the world is before you in flames. Everything has fallen. Almost all life has been extinguished. Chaos must cleanse. There must be a finishing. And you see suddenly everything shifts and the world seems at peace and ordered. There either then must be order, some way to prevent chaos and bring harmony to the globe. And you see, of course, he kind of like the vision stretches out towards those stars and to other planes as well. Or, and at this point, the vision kind of vanishes with a bubble burst. Something not even the gods could foresee. But there must be change, as in its present course, if chaos and order and all balance is to be permanently unshifted." And Adora, you feel a deep-seated poisonous cold in your heart, something almost like a heartbeat, maybe laughing. And you hear Mimir say, "Or this world will be destroyed, with or without our doing." As this happens, the vision kind of slowly fades, as with that bubble burst, you kind of realize you are still standing in this glade with the pond, almost as if you had never left.
Huh. Okay. No, I'm just processing that. Okay. Okay. Complete order, complete chaos, or something we don't even know about yet. Okay. Then, Mimir, I have one more. Well, many questions, but how, to be the best use to help, how do I become She-Ra again?
You see, kind of looks at you. "Well, do you want the easy answer or the true answer?"
Something tells me I need the true answer. You see, as you kind of said dejectedly.
"Well, the true answer would be that She-Ra must be reformed." And you see, he kind of like stops. He puts his finger in the pond, but not his middle finger this time. He lowers in just his pointer. As it reflects against the water, only the water changes. And you see a vision. You see yourself buffeted and buffeted against the portal. All of your friends being pushed aside. Catra at the lever, pulling the portal as it exploded. She-Ra's sword breaking. You see this moment, but you watch as the sword shatters and spreads. as you watch the hilt clung by you as hard as it can, and the other 7 pieces swirling around you like starlight as you begin to fall through the portal, through space and time itself. As the broken sword, as everything happening, these 2 separate visions of both the portal to try to pull the world and the sword in this spot, you watch as it slowly pulls down and you become a meteor that streaks towards a planet, everything becoming fire and burning atmosphere. The 7 pieces each begin to swirl and zoom away. As you hear Mimir say next to you, as you kind of watch this reflected pool, "Now, there's many questions you could ask, Adora. Be very careful which ones you want answers to. That sword has been broken to form She-Ra, the She-Ra you knew. You must find those pieces and bring them together back at their place of birth."
What do you mean, the She-Ra I knew? Is there a She-Ra I don't know?
You see, he goes, "That's 2 questions. Which one?"
You see, she's like very much massaging her temples and going, is there a She-Ra I don't know?
You see, he goes, "Yes."
There was only one word. You see, as she kind of like blows up a little bit. And then, remember she's talking in the presence of God, and then immediately humbles herself and goes, "Sorry. Okay. So there's one I don't know. But for the She-Ra I do know, how do I get to the She-Ra I don't know?"
He goes, "Well, that is an answer only you possess that I cannot give you."
What?
He kind of like
Okay.
shrugs his shoulders, and his head kind of slowly lifts up just a little bit. "Listen, wisdom isn't something that can be made sense of all the time. It's just what's there."
Okay, I guess. Cool. So I gotta find the pieces of the sword. So then, okay. You see, she takes like kind of a big sigh and then just kind of sits and goes, I suppose this last question is my most selfish one, I guess. Are my loved ones okay?
You see Mimir actually does give that little like bark laugh here. "Last question? Oh, you're an easy one to please. Odin was here for centuries when he came around. But
Wait.
yes, your loved ones are safe. In fact, it seems that all of Eternia is here in Dremor, though scattered."
Okay. So they're here. I just need to find them. Man, I would love to stay here for centuries, but I don't know how time works between here and wherever I was, and I don't want to keep people waiting, especially if we have a timer on the world. So.
See, he kind of gives that little like confused look and just says, "Well, timers are only known to those who've set them. And Adora, you must know that there are multiple timers going on."
What timers are going on?
Well, depends on which group is involved. There's a timer for when your world will cease. There is a timer for when your group will be ambushed. There is a timer for when I will finally find peace. What timers do you want to know about?
Well, of course, I'd love to know when you find peace. But I'm sorry, did you say ambush? Like right now?
You see, he kind of stops. Well, now is relative, but you don't think that those creatures that attacked you in the woods just went away willingly. No, they're waiting and watching you. Don't worry,
No.
if you want a bit of free wisdom, they're not here. They're not right here.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Great. Sounds good. I guess do you have any wisdom or advice for the other members of my party?
Well, I mean, what do you want to know?
What is a gingerbread man? I mean, like, what is a gingerbread? Is it a bread that's ginger? What is ginger?
Well, ginger is a delightful root vegetable that has a very strong aroma that, when ground and baked into certain confections, produces quite a lovely cookie. Add a bit of molasses, brown sugar, cinnamon, other spices. Gingerbread is quite popular. But if you're speaking of the gingerbread man, he is one created out of a higher celestial being.
Huh. Okay. Oh, is Horde Prime something I should worry about?
Very.
Great. Not great, but sarcastically great. Okay. Is great. That kind of just threw me off my questioning game. And I want to say, like, out of character, Oggs, if we need to switch to some other people, because I know I've kind of been hogging a little bit.
You're good. I will actually say what is happening right now as you are here. The rest of the party, Minarith was out in like a second. You have been watching as Adora, suspended by these vines, has been sitting here for a second, a couple seconds, a minute, a couple minutes.
Okay.
And
then
yes.
at some point, after a short wait, Shen is going to fly up there and attempt to cut her out if she is not moving or...
Excellent. Yeah, go ahead. Make an attack roll, because easy enough to kind of jump up. She's not like high off the ground. Go ahead. Make an attack roll.
Okay. Sorry, I thought I had that right there. Where are you? There we go. Loading.
16. A 16 will hit. You quickly cut all of these just kind of creeping vines that were hanging down. And Adora and you would both land safely back on the ground, though she is still covered in vines currently.
And I'd just like to continue cutting her out.
As you continue to cut out Shen, you watch as the vines you cut fall to the ground and seem to find root in the rock here and just start twirling back up to encase Adora once more.
Looking around at the other members of my party.
I'm making a pie.
You're making a pie. I'm going to look around at them a little expectantly. Well, she's trapped and in danger.
Can I make some sort of check to tell whether, like, she's fine in there, or, like, right, like, is this just the magic of the space and she's chill, or do we need to, like, hack her out?
Go ahead. I'll say make an insight check. See what's going on with these vines right now.
I don't have great insight. This could be bad, but we'll see.
While she's doing that,
18.
you cannot roll worse than I was doing earlier tonight. But I think I would probably just tell Shen she is probably experiencing a vision like the one I had. She should be fine.
Valka, on an 18, you, as Minarith is kind of saying, you're noticing, Valka, the vines aren't hurting Adora. They don't seem to be constricting, nor are they, thankfully doing anything worse, like, drawing life out of her, like some sort of poisonous plant. But you're noticing that the vines are almost acting protectively, that they're starting to kind of wrap up and cocoon Adora, slowly but surely.
Okay, in that case, I'm going to convey to the rest of the party that the vines don't seem to be harming her, and the only thing I think we really should be worried about is, like, when is she gonna snap out of it? Like, if there is any danger, it's maybe she's just gonna, like, get lost in division forever, right? Like, that's my only concern at this point.
That's fair.
Maybe, like, wait a while, wait a reasonable amount of time, and if she's, like, not coming out of it on her own, then, like, we start worrying about how to wake her up, maybe.
In that case, Shen's convinced then, and we'll step back and watch and wait.
As you kind of step back, all of you waiting expectantly, we zoom in on Adora back into this vision as Mimir is kind of looking at you, Adora, just, there's a lot you could learn, a lot that could help you. Elle just jumped out for a second. Okay. We will actually then, with the group, what I would ask is this: as you are all here in this underground room, anyone who wants to can go ahead and make me either a perception check or a religion check, if they would be so kind. Excellent. Perception. Valka, not a great religion. Minarith, that
The
is...
religion I made is actually a 5, but I think I'm done rolling for a while.
Yeah, Minarith and Valka both made religion checks. And Gingy with a nat 1. Yikes!
Any chance I could get, like, advantage on my religion check? Because it's Nordic?
Not so much in this moment, because it's more of a general religion. What I would say is we'll start with Shen. Shen, on a 21, you are looking around, and I think in this moment you will be able to realize something that no one else has maybe thought of yet. When you first entered this room, it was, shall we say, dim lighting. Like, everything was very much like low and dark, the only real light kind of emanating from the pool itself. Somehow this room does feel dimmer. Maybe slightly, but as if something has lowered the degrees of brightness just a few notches. And it's not just the pool. Everything in this room feels a little more dark.
He is going to be looking around for some other, if there are other entrances, or I guess exits into this chamber than the one that we came down.
Gotcha. Go ahead and make me an investigation check. And
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, you can make an investigation check, and if anyone else has proficiency investigation, they can help you in this regard.
Yeah, he's going to convey to the party as well that, does it seem dimmer in here to anybody else?
Sorry, but I'm rolling crap, and I don't have proficiency anyway. I'm not helping.
Shen, as you just, all of you looking around like dimmer, Adora, as we cut into your mind once more, you see Mimir looking at you just says, well, questions, thoughts?
Okay, so if the way we gotta solve it is either fix it, let it consume itself, find something else out of the box, or else it's just going to happen no matter what. Will finding the pieces of the sword help in fixing the world?
Mimir at this point just goes, now you're asking the right questions. Well, yes, finding the pieces of the sword will help, but finding those pieces do more than just fix the world, if you know what I mean.
Would it destroy the world?
Well, to a certain degree. Maybe you could ask a question about, I don't know, your sword.
Oh, I guess also out of character, my headphones decided to scream, connected, connected, so I did not get the last part of that sentence besides ask questions about the sword.
You're good.
So, is the sword how I summon Shira?
You see, Mimir says, well, let me show you this. And he kind of like goes to the pool, and you realize this time he touches once again his middle finger as your entire vision shapes away. You are standing out in the expansive universe and hear Mimir saying, your sword was a major piece, an artifact, forged for more than just one purpose. It indeed holds the great power of the champion Shira. And you see that glowing, almost yellowish white of head, crown on her head. You hear Mimir say, the Sword of Power is indeed a great weapon, something that can both summon Shira, the least of which it can make a really nice whisk if you want to cook with it. But
oh yeah, no, I remember that.
There is more to that
Sorry, I didn't mean to
sword.
cut you off.
No, you're fine. That sword is a great being. We know this as what the beings that made it would call a seal. And you see the world kind of shifts, and you see 7 figures, each glowing this brilliant pale white, each of them holding an object in their hands. Long ago, in an attempt to create better order upon this plane of existence, one of the greater gods asked forth of his servants to create seals, to bind away chaos, to impose order upon the world. Reality. And so, chaos was sealed away. But that sword, chosen champion of Shira, was chosen then to be the first, as each of these seals cannot be destroyed until its previous match has been broken. The Sword of Power seemed the logical choice, as anyone that could have found the sword, let alone destroy it. You must know, Adora, that even the hilt you hold still retains power, that your sword is not broken, rather fractured, every piece of it holding great, infinite power, and that to truly break this seal, it must be destroyed completely and utterly at its birthing place, at the forge of Castle Grayskull. And you see this imposing castle suddenly appear out of the darkness of space, the sword emblazoned before it. Now,
Just for a moment, she's like, it's what Grayskull means! As Eleanor says, it's a running joke that they never explain what Grayskull is in the entire series.
They never explain it, but here is
Nope.
Grayskull. You see Mimir kind of showing you this vision, says, "Many beings wish for that sword, as the complete destruction of the Sword of Power breaks a seal. Were all 7 to break, much would change in this world, for both its salvation and its destruction, depending on whose timer you're asking."
Whose timer is going to save the most people in this world?
You see Mimir looks at you, and he kind of looks sad for a moment. "Not even I can answer that. I may be a god of wisdom with secret knowledge, but I do not hold implied knowledge."
I didn't mean to make you depressed. Yeah, okay. So, if we're going for the whole Law and Order, the sword's got to just be reforged, and we'll be good because it's the first one. Okay. Besides the sword, is there any other issues on the world that need to be solved for Order to rule, to save? I don't know.
You see, he kind of looks at you. "There are many things plaguing the world. If you wish to ask for more secret plagues, things that are not common knowledge besides true war and destruction, there is more than just tyrannical beings that rule in the light. There are those that rule in the shadows. There are beings of power seeking to cover the world in darkness, those that seek to take over planes of existence, and indeed those that feed off of despair and darkness."
Wait just a minute. Because didn't Hordak say like Horde's prime was like to live in like his light or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
Does that make light bad?
You see, Mimir says, "Light is not good or evil, it is merely what is known. Horde Prime is a name feared across the universe, but there are creatures that seek to destroy it. Now, Adora," and you see at this point Mimir kind of looks at you, and you see he looks a little more serious. "I am not sure how to tell you this, but while you may keep asking me questions, you must know that I am not going to be around for much longer." You see, he kind of like gestures as the forest kind of comes back into your eye, and you'll be able to notice there's not as many trees as there were before. He looks at you and says, "No god was chosen by the greater gods to be saved or to have any part in this. In fact, many now seek to retain power and their acolytes and clerics in this plane, but it is not a secret that we lesser gods will not be around for much longer. Already my power will dim and fade." And so this is where I will give you a bit of metagaming knowledge. I have been slowly keeping track, depending on the box of doom we had last week. You have 3 questions left before Mimir's power is really going to fade out of the plane of existence.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay, that's no pressure at all. So what you're saying is darkness and light only really become good or evil depending on who uses them?
Indeed.
And like how? Huh. Okay. Because technically Shira is light and you know, Adora kind of like sits and realizes that he's fading away and goes, "Are you happy?"
Limited time, limited answers. And yet you ask if I am happy. You first ones were always interesting to me. Kind of sucks when someone else creates a race that is so cool and you're not a part of it. No, Adora, I don't think I am happy. But I am ready for what is to happen.
Okay. Then I'll do my best.
And this is where, as a DM, any 2 last questions?
This is kind of where I want to metagame to my companions. Elle is at a loss. Did I cover most of the stuff? I thought I tried to cover most of everything. Am I allowed to metagame with my fellow players?
Yeah, no, I would say it's like we can have that kind of break metagame of like, wait, we've asked a lot of questions. Is there anything we should follow up on? Any other like specifics that as a party you guys can chime in so that we're not like at a loss, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I don't know if I missed it already, but a question that I was thinking of would be, who is the biggest danger right now? Like, to the ending of... Anyhow.
Like, who's the biggest threat to the ending of the world?
Yeah, there we go. Who's... Not, like, leading it, but who should we be the most concerned about?
Mm-hmm. And then if we have one last, because I don't know if that was 2 questions, then maybe what might be something about what is the most important thing for us to focus on at this point?
Okay. What's the biggest threat? What should we focus on? What about you, Megan? I noticed that you unmuted.
Oh no, I was just gonna respond that like that was a really smart question.
Cool, so I guess those will be my last 2, and I kind of, nod, and I kind of sit next to him, and I go, well, I don't know what's after for gods, but, I think he'll be okay. She kind of, like, cuts in the middle of her sentences. I think he'll be okay. My last 2, and she looks at him, are, what is the biggest threat that me and my party must focus on to save the world? And this is where Elle just completely lost the other question. Is like, what should we do? Okay.
I'd say, yeah, no, I think that would be like, okay. And what's the best...
Sorry, the concussion brain made me forget the question.
No, you're good. It's that, like, and what would be the next thing that we should be focused on? Mimir kind of looks at you and says, if you wish to know, the first thing is that there will be changes to who poses the greatest threat to our plane. There are many. Do not be in any way confused by the fact that many will threaten our world and our, indeed, existence. Currently, there is one. And you see he kind of, at this point, reaches down and puts in a ring finger into the pond. And now, not reflected in the pool, nor in the space around you changes, but swirling out of existence, an image forms next to you both. You see a pale-skinned creature, black raven hair swept back into robes that drape down to either side. As you see, Mimir looks at this being. His name is Pitch. He is a being of darkness and nightmare. If you are curious, he is the one that has begun this all. By slaying the moon, the last avatar of these higher beings, he has ushered in chaos, and indeed the ability to break the seals. Pitch will stop at nothing to find all the pieces of your sword and bring them to Grayskull for their destruction. He is a being of pure malevolence and entropy. He is, in fact, what is causing the nightmares across the realm, as because he has no equal, no goodness or guardians that can prevent him, he has begun his dark crusade. This creature is the most dangerous being to our world right now. And with that, he pulls his finger out of the pond and pitch slowly fades. Adora, the last thing burned into your mind is that creepy smile stretched from ear to ear as Pitch looks at you, even though he's not here and is just an image, somehow looking at you. And Mimir finally stops and says, "And where to begin? Well, in your case, I would say you and your party, if you are keen on saving your world, you must first look to find the shards yourselves. There are 7, as you know, and of course the hilts that you hold. Where to begin? That's hard. There are many pieces. Unfortunately, it would require much power to show you where every piece would be, and as a DM, it would have required, questions of like asking each and every one of the pieces to figure out where they all are.
Crap. Okay, sorry.
No, you're good.
I didn't mean
It's. I'm only telling you this now because we've come to the end of this kind of vision. But you see, Mimir says, "But there are other beings in this world who know where the pieces are. That some are seeking in traditional ways, some in magical. If you wish, there is a person that one of your party members has been in contact with that may hold the answer to finding one of the sword pieces."
Okay. Who is it? Oh, that's another question. Right. Would it be another question to ask who is it, or do we need to figure that out ourselves?
You see Mimir kind of looks at you, that little very cocky smile once again. "You might need to figure it out, kid." And as he leans down, he places his entire hand slowly in the pool of water. And Adora, you awaken as the rest of the party, you watch as the light in the pool completely dims and goes black.
Okay. Why are there vines around me? Hey guys. Long story short, the god Mimir is dead. I wasn't the one who killed him. He just had like little time left, but I think I know what we need to do. And with that, so I don't have to say everything that just happened, my party members now know what happened. Period.
For sure.
And that's 21 into the water, and I woke up here. So it's So does anyone know anything about someone knowing about a sword shard, or?
So I think Minarith is really kind of shaken at this point because she just found out something about potentially her parentage from her short vision, and then it sounds like maybe her parent is dead from Adora's. So, she's not doing great. But if you're mentioning someone who might know something about these shards, then August, do we each have a map, or do I at least have a map like the one you showed us?
Yeah, I think everyone would have enough of a map right now.
Excellent. Then if it's the same dang map you have in the chat that you sent us forever ago, I'm going to pull it out and point out the name on the bottom right corner and say, Osriantis is our medium to all that glows in the sky. If anyone would know something about a holy sword from the heavens, it would be her.
Okay. So I guess that's our next move. Is anyone opposed? Anyone wanting to back out? I'm sorry, that was just a lot to throw on you guys. But yeah, no, apparently there's only a few ways we could try to fix this all. And yeah, the people who ambushed us, apparently they're going to be waiting to ambush again. Not outside the temple, just at some point, so I feel like I'm going to try and figure out how to, like, fuse my sword to my hand or something.
I think going to Syracuse sounds like a good idea.
For sure. Valka, Gingy, any other thoughts? Or, yeah, Syracuse could be that kind of smart place right now.
You're unmuted.
Everything sounds good to me. I've been making a pie, and it was good berry, but I turned it into a single pie. And I'm going to walk it over to Adora to help with her eye that she flipped out.
Oh,
That looked like it was painful.
yeah, it kind of was.
Benny's doubting his conviction to his causes.
Shen's having these moments. Gingy, you bring over the pie. I will actually say, Adora, you haven't noticed your eye is in pain as it is gone. You sacrificed a lot. And I won't say you did lose hit points, but the goodberry and just this pie is going to heal up anything that would have been the minor damage you would have taken.
Okay. Sounds good.
It is so nice to have a cleric in our party.
For real. Okay. Thank you, Gingy. Need to yeah, so I think that's our next goal. I mean, we could take that we could guard that caravan down again and earn a little bit more money, so when we get to Syracuse we can take care of ourselves more. What do y'all think?
Yeah, I would need to check the map, because didn't they want to go back to the city that we left from? Would that be back on our way anyway? Or would it be
yes.
a little out of our way?
They wanted to go back to Keld, is kind of where this caravan goes back and forth to. Keld, you could still find a road back down. It's just, how soon are they going back to Keld and who's going where?
Yeah, so I wouldn't be, like, opposed to guarding them back to Keld, because, like, obviously they need help, and the Blackwood was very dangerous, so, like, I wouldn't mind. But yeah, just being aware of, like, how that affects our travel plans to get down to Syracuse.
I think it might be beneficial to find somebody going maybe more in the direction of Syracuse. But if there's nobody else, I think detouring to Keld first and then down would be fine.
Sure, sounds good. And this is I have to dip for like 5 minutes tops. I'm sorry.
You're good. I think. Well, okay. I think Minarith's opinion would be that she would rather escort this group back to Keld if they are leaving at all within a reasonable amount of time, because with all this talk of darkness and fear that's going on, I think that every little bit we do to try and strengthen the hearts of the people around us would probably have an impact on whatever fight is going on, if that makes sense.
For sure. I think that makes total sense. And what I will say is also to give you guys, because everyone's got access to a map. Like, I'm not gonna be like, oh, where are you? You are all up far north at Odin's temple. To get back to Keld is about a 2 days journey through the Blackwood. Or if you are heading down, the other option is, of course, you are very close to this grand city of Ilvanor, where you might be able to find other like jobs for work and stuff, or even just like bigger caravans, because Ilvanor has more of an official road down to Syracuse. Ilvanor runs right up next to the Alps and the mountains, along cities such as East Run and Venzor, where you would have like a more direct route, and especially you be coming from a major city. Just because going back to Keld has the caravan up to Odin's temple, but it's then just kind of a main road from there, from Keld down to Syracuse. And so you would be dealing with the option of like, you probably could get the caravan back to Keld, but at that point it's also, do you want to risk like having to just go alone, or you do have a more main road if you just head over to Ilvanor and then go down into Syracuse.
Shen's vote is heading up more to Valnor and finding a larger caravan.
For sure, I like it. Does everyone kind of
I'm so sorry, did someone cut out? It seemed to cut off pretty abruptly.
Oh, just saying how Shen is thinking it is the idea of you guys could head to Ilvanor and then find maybe a larger caravan down, if not just being on that kind of more main road. Or it's heading back to Keld and searching. And so Shen was saying going to Ilvanor might not be a bad idea.
I think as long as we're at least trying to help people along the way, Minarith would be pretty happy with either option. So.
Gotcha.
I think Valka's vote would depend on how soon the caravan we traveled with wants to go back to Keld. Like, if they're leaving within the next day or so, I would be down to go back down to Keld, especially because, you know, the road will get us to Syracuse anyway eventually.
All roads lead to Rome, for sure.
All roads lead to Rome. So it's just going to be a question of timing, I think, for Valka.
Excellent. Gonna roll a d8. That was an 8. Okay. As you are all down here, again, the light is now almost pitch darkness. Like, even those with dark vision, it's about to become that, like, you know, it probably shouldn't stay in this cavern any longer. And so...
Yeah, someone's going to suggest we leave.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing else to do here, is what he sees, so...
Shen suggests that as the party then kind of grabs Adora, shaking the last of the vines off you, getting those good berry pie in thanks to Gingy. You all start heading back up the long steps upwards to the above ground area around the Temple of Odin. As you approach these steps, climbing upwards... Yes, Shen.
Shen is being cautious, as Adora mentioned that there would be ambushes, and also everything going dark has him a little on edge, so...
Yeah, go ahead. Make me a perception check, Shen.
Rolling. Yep. Since 20.
A synthetic 20. Shen, climbing back through the darkness, you don't see or hear anything too strange around you, keeping that natural guard up. But on a synthetic 20, you will notice that as you approach the top of the steps, the air is a lot colder than when you first entered this underground well. And even what you would notice is, as you climb higher and higher, it's becoming colder and colder as you near that stone entrance where you came from, even to the point of it wasn't this cold when you all arrived. Yes, there is snow and frost, and you did just finish, shall we say, a blizzard the day before, but this is much colder than when you first arrived at Odin's temple.
Okay.
As you all approach, you see this large stone door that, upon the entry step, you each see that there are 2 stone rungs in the door that can be used to push and shove the door open once more. And easily enough, no check needed, all of you step out into the blinking light of a harsh blizzard. And that's where we are going to take our break for this evening. Thank you all so much, and we will return in just a few moments. right, as we return, the party, you have all just stepped out of the secret entrance into Odin's temple as a swirling blizzard has formed around you all. What would everyone like to do in this moment?
Okay, just clarifying, we were inside before we went down into the cave. Yes?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this blizzard, is it blowing in from the doors, or is it just, does it seem to be almost like magically conjured in the room?
Or have we been transported somewhere else?
I will say this. It's more in answer to both of those. You think you're in front of the temple. That looking behind you, you seem to like see the front entrance, not even the sides where you were. This seems to be an entirely different place than where you first entered, but still at Odin's temple.
Okay, I mean, Shen has a hand on one of his throwing knives, but otherwise he's not. He's looking for threats, but otherwise there's nothing else that he would like to do at this moment.
Gotcha.
I was going to say, Adora's, it very comically turns around and goes right back in. Basically she's going to suggest, like, if we don't think it's magical, do you think we need to wait it out? Is it magical?
You could wait it out. It doesn't seem magical. It seems more just like this is a blizzard, kind of like the one we saw, 2 days ago, but it sprung up out of nowhere. I mean, as far as you guys really are aware, you were only down there for an hour at most.
Do I make an Arcana check to see if it's magical?
Yeah, Adora, go ahead and make an Arcana check. I think that's perfect.
If my dice will work. Hold on. Okay, you did.
There you go.
It doesn't take forever anymore, guys.
19. Adora, looking around, the blizzard doesn't seem terrifyingly, arcanely magical. It seems like a normal blizzard, but I think on a 19, Adora, something is off. That this blizzard did very much just happen. That the blizzard itself isn't magical, but there's no way this kind of magnitude and snowstorm should have just appeared out of nowhere.
Right, so somebody caused this natural snowstorm to show up. Okay. Well, sorry, it sounds bad, but it's very much, the fighter going, I've done what I can do. Yeah, that's my suggestion. Maybe we wait it out. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I will say, Adora, or for El, your mic is getting a little muddled right now. It sounds very, close and garbled. Just to let you know that it was at least hard for me to totally pick up on what you were saying there.
I'm also having a hard time understanding.
Sorry, can you hear me a little better now?
That's better.
Better?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I forgot that the mic for my laptop is at the top of the screen.
Yes.
So basically, just Adora suggesting you wait it out. I made the joke of the Patrick going like, "Oh, it's me. Well, I've done all I can do" as the fighter with Arcana. So.
Gotcha. What I would ask for everyone right now, all of you would be aware that with the blizzard, however it may have sprung up, it is getting intense, and you probably all will need to find some form of shelter soon. Now, you do remember there were small encampments just a little ways off, maybe just a few minutes east of here, that the caravan you came with said they were going to stay at. Or there is maybe an hour or two opposite direction to the city of Ilvanor itself.
I feel like an hour or two could mean not great times. I wonder if we try to go to the encampment.
I would definitely agree with that.
Yeah, I'm
Question
down for that.
Would be good.
about the spell Mage Hand, would you allow some flavor of, would we be able to feel anything with the hand? Or no?
Using Mage Hand to feel the storm?
What I want to do is, basically, I want to cast Mage Hand because if it's this bad of a blizzard, then we may not be able to see very well, is what it sounds like from what you've described. So if I could use Mage Hand, even, I don't know if I can only move it as far as 30 feet away, but use it to just kind of help feel out when we find a tent or something, so that we're not just wandering in the blizzard just to the right or to the left of the encampment and we're screwed. Does that make sense?
Oh, gotcha. That is super smart. I get it. And I will say, yes, after about 15 feet, you don't see the mage hand, or feel the mage hand. And so it's very much that, like, okay, you've got about a 15-foot visibility right now. But, Minarith, you can for sure use that to help guide your way through the storm over to the tented area.
Oh, good. I was a little bit nervous you were going to make us start rolling survival checks.
No, as Elle kind of called that right, is if you had tried to go to Ilvanor, that might have prompted some checks there. What I would ask is, for the group, though, as you get to the tents, the first thing you will notice is there are a lot of tents here that have been dug into the ground, heavy stakes and cloth. And within a moment, there's about 8 or so tents that you're seeing around you, these kind of like tent shacks. Would you like to go into maybe just the first one you see, or does anyone want to make an investigation check, see if there's any like more empty tents?
I can try and make a check.
Go for it.
Yeah, same. I'd be looking for one that looks like it could easily house us and might be a little bit more comfortable than
just whatever's first. I like it. Go for it, Shen.
You said investigation.
Investigation, yeah.
That was a 12 for me.
12 for Valka. Okay.
24.
24 for Shen. Valka, you peek in. There's a couple people. Shen, you eventually see there is, thankfully, a tent just a bit of a ways away that seems to be, thankfully, very open right now. There's only one other person inside, and it looks to be like a dwarf that's kind of huddled around a quick fire.
Okay. So, seeing that the tent is fairly large, Shen is going to just walk in. He's not asking permission or anything from the dwarf.
You walk in, you see the dwarf looks up and he kind of says, "Right, no, come on in. What are you out in that storm?"
We were at the temple.
Right, why were you at the temple? The storm's been going on all day.
All day.
Right, oh, are you daft? I mean, please, before even sunup, the winds were picking up, snow falling. I don't think anyone's gone to the temple today, but if you're crazy enough to brave it to get inside to pray, I mean, good on you for trying.
Good dwarf, what day is it today?
Well, I must expect, given that it's yet to be sundown near my reckoning, it's about the 25th day of the month. All of you would easily know you went in on the 17th.
Oh boy, I am real glad Dice asked the date. I didn't even think about you pulling that serious time work, but
That like 8 days?
yeah,
8
Yeah.
days.
Oh.
that's 8 days.
Oh my god.
Yikes.
You see the dwarf kind of looking at you all. It's like, well, come in, get yourself by the fire. He kind of like pulls out some quick blankets. He's like, right, this is also a bit of a temporary loan for me. I was more just sailing up from Sadon down in the south, and I wasn't expecting the cold. Please, the name's Horrell. Horrell Bloodboot. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance.
Pleasure to meet you.
But really quick, is it the only 8 days later, or is it a full year in 8 days?
It is only 8 days later.
Oh, thank heavens. Thank you. Okay. Sorry, Eleanor, did not mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. I was just doing the whole, like, roleplay courtesy. Like, yes, it's nice to meet your acquaintance too. But that's smart to think of. August could have totally pulled it. You've been in there for 10 years, like, whatever.
Yeah, you see Bloodboot kind of gestures to you all as like, well, don't have much food yet. I was probably going to sear something up here in a second. So, did you all go to the temple today? Yeah, it's quite the storm for it. Where are you all from, by the way?
We're all from different places, but we met up in Keld.
Yeah, we helped the caravan get up here, and then we just really wanted to go to the temple, and now we're in the storm, so
Oh, you were with a caravan, you say?
Oh, yeah, we were bringing them up.
Wait, was this a caravan? It was by a man, Volrid was his name? Volrid Dorcas?
Yeah.
Well, if you're saying you came with them, that it's odd. I saw him leaving just yesterday with a group.
Yeah, we're going in different directions, so...
Right, well, yeah, sorry to miss him, but yeah, he seemed like an interesting fellow. Of course, I feel sorry he went back down to Keld in this weather that's just sprung up out of nowhere. Valka, go ahead. I need you to give me a quick history check with advantage.
How's the 21?
21's rather good. Velka, you've lived your life in these frozen climates. There is something that, unfortunately, it was a high DC earlier in checking Arcana check for the storm. That
is this being generated by the fucking dragon in the Blackwood?
This storm may be quote unquote natural, but in now thinking kind of like about like, oh, they were heading back into the Blackwood, and it kind of did still appear just today. There are large dragons that have control over ice and storm that very well indeed may have caused this.
I'm gonna activate my locate dragon within 10 miles ability as an action.
There is a dragon that is 8 miles away.
Mm.
Oh boy. And do I know what like kind of dragon would create a blizzard like this?
On a 21 history check, I will say yes, you'll be allowed to know. Or rather, you will kind of be able to think through. There's a lot of dragons in the world, each with varying degrees of just awfulness. To create a blizzard, though, you're dealing with a humongous dragon, something that has this kind of control. And specifically, there's only really one type of dragon that has this kind of control over ice and storm, because it is not usually ice and storm it can control, but rather fire and lightning. That it is unheard of, or it is uncommon, but monstrous nightmares born of blizzards could have this level of control.
All right. And based on the time that he said Ulrich and everybody left, am I thinking they're probably 8 miles into the woods getting eaten by a monstrous nightmare right now?
For sure.
I'm going to convey all that to everybody. I'm going to tell our friend Horrell here to make sure all of his people are like safely in their tents. And I'm going to suggest to the party. I mean, do I think we could get 8 miles through the woods in this blizzard soon enough to even be any help, or?
Think they chose to go off in a blizzard on their own.
Sorry, I didn't quite hear any of that.
Sorry. I think they chose to go off on their own into a blizzard. We have served our responsibility.
It doesn't feel right to not go make sure they're okay, especially if there's a dragon in 8 miles.
Valka, 8 miles and a little bit less.
Oh, so it's coming this way now?
Maybe.
I'm going to suggest that if we stumbled off finally into the woods, the time it would take us to get 8 miles, as dark as it sounds, it'll probably have killed everybody by then. And I'm going to suggest it makes more sense to fortify the encampment here and prep in case it comes after these people and try and get ready to fight it off.
It sucks, but I think I would agree with you, especially if it is coming closer. That really.
Is there a way we can make sure it doesn't go after the village and instead comes after us?
Can you say that one more time, Elle? Your microphone just got a little garbled again.
Oh, sorry. Is this better?
Not really. Are you just close to your mic right now?
I can translate. She was asking if we can like lure it off to try and get it to like attack us somewhere where like the encampment won't be collateral.
Gotcha.
This might be me being a bad person, but I feel like I'm not sure there's a defensible place for us to mount an attack if we leave here. Like, I think this might be our best bet for, like, resources and a place to, like, mount a good fight.
Okay.
Yeah, Shen agrees. He is not really keen on going out in the blizzard right now, especially if there's a dragon on its way.
For sure.
What if we got to work with? Can we like throw up a quick palisade or something, right? Like, what are there like guards for this encampment? Like, what have we got?
What I would say is this, actually, for the party, if you guys want to do a group investigation check, because I would kind of tell you, like, yeah, let's figure out what do we have in all these tents, like who's here, what do we have to work with, like what's going on.
Perfect.
Sorry, Gingy had something you were going to say.
Oh, yes, Gingy.
I was just, Gingy's very confused that dragons do bad things because the only dragon he knows is married to a donkey, and it's rather quite nice.
Actually, Gingy, I will say a bit of clarification as certain PC choices. You technically don't know any dragon married to a donkey in this world.
I don't know any dragon. Never mind on that. I'm still agreeing that I would rather not go towards a dragon if it's bad.
For sure, that's totally fair. As I realized, yeah, Gingy, point of clarification, as someone has chosen a player character that kind of change that bit of canon ever so slightly.
Right.
Oh, so close.
Here we go.
I save and we prepare.
No. Minarith got a 3. Thalka got a 3. Shen got a 2. Adora and Gingy, do you guys want to make investigation checks? See if, like, all right, all hands on deck. Who can find what?
Oh, hey, I got a 15.
Well, I got a 7.
Not be rolling anything.
I think
I rolled a natural 1 and a natural 2.
Gingy, you run out into the storm like, yeah, let's help, and almost get like blown sky high. It's that level of wind and ice right now.
I got a 15.
A 15 is decent enough and is now the highest
Yay!
of the checks. As a party, I will say though, it was a group failure in all accounts. It's not bad, but really what you find is there are in total 8 tents. You have a combined total of what seems to be about 20 different acolytes and pilgrims here. One of which is what you know to be Horrell Bloodboot. Horrell does have a great hammer. It seems that this dwarf has done a bit of fighting and sparring in his day. And so really it's you've got 20 acolytes and pilgrims that aren't terribly good fighters, but you do have Horrell. The tents could be disassembled to create a bit of a stake situation if you want to make balustrades. Like, it's not impossible, but of course it's for every tent you disassemble, it's a more crowded tent and a more viable target, because then you've got more bodies inside of a tight space, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Just a quick question. How long did it take us to get from the temple to here?
It only took about 5-6 minutes going through the storm.
Okay, that is good to know for multiple reasons. Per Ella's earlier question about, squishy NPCs and danger, what would be the viability of sending, like, the acolytes and people we're worried about to the temple to hunker down while we, camp out here and try and kill a dragon?
I would say it's a little bit, especially Valka, you know this, it's a kind of concept of where do you want bait to be? And I know bait sounds terrible, but if there's more people gathered in one place, dragons are going to go for, like, easy big targets, right? Especially these people who can't defend themselves. But you would know, though, even though it's like, oh, there'd be a lot of them in the temple, they would be in the temple. A temple would probably have a lot more stone defense when it comes to, like, warding off dragons and attacks versus, like, other stuff.
And
and if we stay outside, like perched on the roof or something, and the people are all inside, that might be. Then again, is it sacrilegious? Are we gonna like wreck out and stumble in a fight?
The temple had closed doors too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we could send a bunch of the acolytes and non-combatants into the temple, and they just hunker down and hope it doesn't go to the temple. It'll be easier to defend themselves there than it would be in a tent.
It would be easier to defend them at the temple.
I would definitely be in favor of trying to keep as many of the non-combatants, as you said, out of the way, because frankly, besides the fact that I don't want them to die, if they were out and trying to help, they would probably be more of a hindrance at that point. So having them inside the temple would be preferable.
I would like to ask Coral if he is the leader of the group.
You see Horo's just right. No, I'm not so much as a leader. It's just more like I'm the only one that brought a weapon on a journey. So when I sailed up here, I met up with a couple of these people. I wouldn't call myself a leader here, though. I mean,
In that case, if you are equipped to help, are we good with taking everybody to the temple as opposed to being out in the open?
Yeah, I feel like that's what we would suggest if we can like find someone in charge.
Well, I'm gonna tell. Okay, Coral, if you are equipped to defend, then we are going to escort the rest of the caravan back to the temple for security. There is a dragon on its way. So, will you find the leader of whoever is the leader and in charge and inform them so we can move everybody in a timely fashion?
you see Horo just right. I can get on that. I will say for free. Yes. Everyone will be able to be moved for free. Like get out of the way, and so that way you guys can like make whatever other preparations you want to try to make right now.
I think my question for Valka would be if she's fought this kind of dragon before, and if she knows of any particular weaknesses or strengths that we should be aware of. Because that might have a big impact on what our plan might be for, like, other than keep some people safe in the temple. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I'm not sure. Have I fought one of these before? I remember from what August just like basic lore gave me a second ago. It sounds like they have fire and lightning powers, which means they're probably resistant to both of those things. I don't know anything about like vulnerabilities.
But no, unlike a monstrous nightmare, this one might be ice and lightning, right? The idea of okay, because a true monstrous nightmare couldn't have summoned a blizzard to this extent. This is probably a ice variant of a monstrous nightmare.
Okay, that's good to know. So I will, convey that. And anything else I know about dragons in general, right? So, like, magic weapons are generally more helpful than, like, non-magical weapons, or, like, obviously they can fly, like, the rundown on, like, any basic dragon knowledge that I've got.
Gotcha. I like it. Giving everyone this knowledge, all of you would be able to note then, okay, dragons, if we have magic, that's going to be better. It's a being of ice and lightning, so those are probably things not to try. What I would say then is, for everything else going down, Horo will be able to get everyone into the temple safely enough. You do know if the dragon tries to get inside the temple, you are looking at a very bad situation, but it shouldn't be bad because, again, hopefully the key is you can either drive it off or, if you're lucky, kill it, and that kind of solves a lot of questions there. One I will ask though for everyone is there any other things people want to make or do before the dragon arrives, if that makes it, or while the dragon's on its way, like any last things people want to prep?
I was going to suggest keeping all of the tents set up as kind of other targets if it's interested in taking out people.
That is a good idea. Are there any natural enemies of this dragon?
People is probably what Valko would know. Dragons are very much apex predators, what we would think of.
Yeah.
And so it's very hard to say what's the natural enemy of a dragon. That would be probably like a nat 20 level of history and stuff.
Fair. Then I think, well, screw it. I've been rolling crap all night, but maybe the dice gods will finally have pity upon me. I'll roll a history check real quick. But while that's going, I wanted to ask then, oh, come on, another 4? I am actually cursed tonight. Sorry. Composure. I wanted to say, I have prestidigitation. I can have up to 3 different effects going on at once. The ones I'd like to do are pull a Gideon from the Bible move where he had tons of those lanterns and lights, so it makes it look like there are far more people than there actually are. And I also want to have tons of men's voices. And lastly, the smell of fire, as in from the torches. So
Gotcha.
to just kind of further sell the fact that, hey, there's noise, there's sight, and there's smell, all denoting that there should be people here. Lots of people.
Gotcha.
Especially focusing from the tents.
Shen would like to help assist then, and maybe craft a small explosive out of one of the bags of black powder that he purchased at the market.
Excellent. And with that, Shen, you have brought in one of my favorite bit of D&D world building that you can thank this party for. I have now made an official skill/tool proficiency called an explosives expert. Meaning, if you have the explosives expert, whether through this skill, you would be able to make a check with your proficiency bonus.
Okay.
Because, unfortunately, I don't believe Shen has this yet. I will say that upon leveling up, otherwise, your character and backstory definitely would lead way into having this. But for now, what I will say is this is going to be a sleight of hand check, just whatever base you have.
Oh, that was almost better.
A 10. A 10's pretty basic, Shen. You think it's definitely able to go off, but you're not getting the fuse right now. Where if you were to fire it, it would still need some form of, probably, shall we call it, fire igniting it right now. But like you have something where you can definitely toss it, that object interaction to toss. It would just need fire to ignite to explode.
Okay.
Per the fire discussion, how long has it been since I activated my draconic transformation?
You ignited that underground, correct?
Yeah, when Minarith was encased in ice.
I will say it's been long enough for a short rest, for sure.
Oh, okay. Because it lasts for an hour, so I just wanted to know if it had, worn off already.
Yes, so it would have worn off.
Okay.
I would say for Gingy and Adora, any of these last things you guys want to prep?
I don't really think I have anything right now.
No worries, Kay. Because for Adora, it's probably just that, prep and get ready to fight. Makes sense.
Hang on, so just to clarify, when you said it's been long enough for a short rest, does that mean I could have, like, refreshed it, though, so I'll have it?
Yes. Oh, yes. I would say, because it's been
Awesome,
an hour,
thank
so it would have worn off, but yeah, you would have had now time to
I
revamp
can
it.
short rest and get it back. And okay, so I will look through and decide what would be most helpful to get.
For sure. And what I would say then also is, finally, Gingy, any little things you want to prep, or are you just waiting for the battle as well?
Actually, I think I will prep to bless everybody, but I want to cast it at a level 2 so that I can get everybody.
Yeah, excellent. So level 2 bless to encompass the party as a whole.
Yeah.
I like it.
And then
Thank you. I appreciate the bless.
And it hasn't been long enough for a long rest. Like, have we had a long rest since the last time? Or do I still have that point of exhaustion?
You do still have that point of exhaustion, as we've yet to long rest.
Okay. Just making sure.
Yep, bit of concern there of, oh no, Gingy is still very exhausted. I will say then, as you all are prepping, everyone getting different bits of powder, knowledge, weapons sharp and ready, we are going to turn to a bit of an open dice roll. Now, the key is I am going to make a roll, and the thing you're hoping for is, again, Minarith has made, with prestidigitation, a rather large-looking camp, something that looks like it should have a lot of people and even warriors, right? It looks intimidating. All of you are ready and standing by. We need to see, though, if this dragon on its approach is distracted at all by the camp. It adds nothing to its insight, so we're going to roll. That was a 12. Now, as a party, we're going to make a group deception check against this dragon. We just need a majority to beat a 12.
Oh no.
Because again, it's not just Minarith doing magic. I would assume like everyone's like, let's all pitch in. That's a 9 and a 17, a 17 and a 19.
Oh my gosh, I thought it was gonna be a 2.
It's almost a 2.
I'm even good at deception.
That I know. I'm like, Shen got a 9 even with a 3, and Gingy with a 4. Again, I would think, Gingy, your point of exhaustion is really starting to take its toll, as everything you're doing right now is like, oh man, this just sucks, trying to run around, trying to get stuff done, having this just like constant disadvantage almost. But we do have a majority that beat the DC 12. All of you watch as, after some time, Valka, you keep that internal radar pinging, and 8 miles becomes 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Calling it just before the dragon shows up so I don't have to waste a bonus action in combat, I would canonically like to use a Draconic Transformation.
Yes, and Draconic Transformation goes off. All of you hear through the blizzard, foom, 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 foom. Large beating wings makes their way down. And before you see the beast, you hear that intake high pressure wind whoosh inwards into its mouth. A blast of ice and lightning crackles across the ground and rips apart the tents as a gigantic winged dragon, an icy monstrous nightmare where its curled horns are caked in ice and frost, and its mouth is dripping the last of this pyroclastic icy lightning, standing in front of the tents, looking around, unsure of where its meal is. You see its eyes flash upward through even the blizzard itself. And that is where we are going to end tonight's session.
No!
not expecting a cold-themed Monsters Nightmare. What the heck?
Cold theme.
Yeah, adventure.
Style.
I will say thank you all so much for playing. Thank you all for listening. And I will see you all next time. Goodbye.